Hi everyone, it's Cindy. Welcome back to Studioloo. So I'm here today with, where are we? Day number 5 of Junk Journal July, and our prompt today is lettering. So check my description box down below for more info on Junk Journal July, and if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. We do fun things here. So anyways, there is, I think a lot of us have probably things that we remember throughout our life. Usually they happen in childhood where you see some kind of iconic lettering or typography that just kind of stays with you. It might be like the font on the sign at your local restaurant, or like a book that you checked out from the library, or something like that you just, maybe you were really into typewriters because of that cool, font and the way that it happened. And I think for me, there's a lot of those things. So I just kind of gazed around my studio as I was thinking about the prompt and happened upon Amphigory by Edward Gorey. So this is a compendium of 15 books that have been illustrated in this one collection. And for me, I always enjoy Edward Gorey because he was kind of that taboo, like, storyteller when you were a kid. Like, you were leaving the childhood kind of like innocence of, reading about like very basic things to kind of, getting more into narratives, maybe some spooky stuff, because a lot of kids do start to develop their appreciation of the macabre and a sense of humor, as you're getting to be around like 8 years old. Whoops. And that's an appropriate alarm. My son changed my alarm to that cuckoo clock. So anyways, so what I'd like to do today is, in the spirit of this fun Amphigory lettering, I have decided I want to make a journal, actually. Like, I'm not going to make the whole thing here on camera, but we're going to get a start and do a bit of the things around lettering, right? So inside this book, I've chosen to use, for the theme of the journal I'm going to make, this story called The Listing Attic. And so the thing about it is, it's not a story that has to go together in any particular order. You don't have to worry about where the pages end up. So there was a young lady named Rose who fainted wherever she chose. She did so one day when playing croquet, but was quickly revived with a hose. And it's all these little funny, kind of macabre poems, and they don't need to be in any particular order. So because of that, they're kind of perfect to make just like a little journal, and using this as my theme, as my kit. So I'm going to just set that aside for a moment, I think, and show you a few supplies that I have set aside. So I grabbed from my stash of old books this little black book. It's just a little black book that was called Hometown, and it I keep some of my old books that I get because I can't keep all of them in their whole structure on my shelves, or I'd have too many. I do just kind of strip them down to just a few pages that are cool, that I want to use in a journal if I make a journal from them, and then I keep the spine and the book intact. So this is going to be the little Listing Attic book. And then I got these letters in a thrifting adventure a while ago, and I thought we would make a fun cover where we will put the actual title on the cover of the book using this lettering. So what I'll do, I'll take a little break and I'll get some supplies. I'm going to use a razor knife to cut right down here to be able to remove the pages of this from the book. So just give me a moment, I'll be right back. Okay, so I have all the pages out of the book. Good. I'll set those aside because we don't need them right away. So the next project is to get this cover prepared. So I'll take the pages out. I'll decide later if I'm going to use those in the book. I'm going to pull out this scrumptious bit of book spine here. If you've been around for a while, you know I love me some grungy book spine and collage, so we will keep all of this in my grungy book spine basket that I have. There we go. So just pull all that out. We don't need that in there. Into the basket. All right, now just gonna sort of sweep it off a little. Pull out all this spine that we don't need. I'll do a better job of this a little later. I'm just kind of getting anything out right now that'll make a mess or get in my way while I'm trying to work on this. Yeah, that'll be fine. Okay. Okay. So now we have the book, and I think this book has a decent sized spine for what I want to do with it. So I'm going to keep it as it is, and I'm going to use the front of the cover. Now I want to put my letters down with some embossing ink. I want to emboss them on the front, and you might think initially it's going to look a little funny because I'm going to use this glow up embossing powder that glows in the dark. So it's going to look just kind of a little bubbly, and like you'll see that it's there, but it's not going to be like a solid color on there, because I think part of the fun of this book will be this fun text glowing in the dark. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. So what I'm going to do first is I've got these book pages here, and I think I'm going to need about 4 or 5 of them just to help me with my embossing process. It's kind of a simplified embossing process that I have when I don't want to take out like my like tray and all that stuff. I just want to kind of do a little quick job like I want to do right now. And then I was thinking another thing that might help me with the typography on the front here. I can do this kind of, you know, individually with each letter, but I'm thinking I might try to do it with like 3-4 letters at a time to just put them down. I don't know. I was thinking I would use, I don't have a, especially for the word listing, I don't have a long enough like plastic block that I could stick my stamps to. Plus these are not sticky on the back. So I have a bit of an idea. I'm going to try to do the word listing first, because that will be maybe the hardest word. So I'm just going to take double-sided tape on the back of a ruler, or not double-sided, but this gluey tape. I haven't used this in ages, and it's never been used, but okay, it's working. We're good. Let's just do a couple rows maybe, just to make sure it's a little sticky. Okay, these things are great, these little permanent glue tape rollers for just things like this. Okay, so we need the word listing, and it needs to go this way so that when I flip it over, it's the right way, right? So L. And I've got 2 different eyes that I've got a little eye and a big eye. And that's actually so funny. So I got this, I don't even know what this text is from. But because I got it in a thrift haul, but the one small letter I got is an I. That's the only extra letter I have. I have the whole capitalized alphabet and then that one small letter. It's like very kind of kindred that it worked out that way. L-I-S-T I, and I like that it's different. I think it's going to give it a fun look. N and G, and I did just enough sticky. Okay, so now I just got to check spacing here. Yeah, I think I like that now. I just got to check. Yeah, we're too wide. I got to smush these together a little more closer. So let's do that. Bring them nice and close. Cuddle them up together. And I'll just sort of, you know, share this with you. I'll show you how I get through my process of figuring things out. Okay. We'll see, we're still a little chunky. Okay, I think I see where I can push these a little closer. That'll just fit. Now if I can do just a little bit closer, little bit, just a bit. Okay. Because I'd like a tiny bit of room, you know. I'll pick that one up again and straighten it out. Okay. Got a bit of a curve on that S, which doesn't bother me, but I'll try to... Yeah, okay, so yeah, I like that. That's crammed, but in a way that I like. Okay, so now we gotta be brave, be brave. Get like a... I need my book as a bit of a platform just to set this on while I'm embossing it. So the embossing ink doesn't touch the book. Okay. And just kind of take your time because you only got one chance really to do this right. Okay, I see it. I like it. It's good. Now let's go ahead and get the embossing powder on right away while it's wet. This is the sensitive stage. Okay. We'll just set that over here. And then, where are my book pages? Right here. So take one book page. Just lift this up. Fold it first. Just fold it first. This is going to be my powder funnel. So the other thing is make sure you dot all your I's before you go further. Close up your ink so you don't end up hitting it with your heat gun or anything like that. Close up your powder so you don't spill it. Then tap, tap, tap. There's listing, okay? So now I'm going to just go ahead, open up my powder. And this is why I like using just a book page. Because I can just dump it right back in there, get rid of the book page, and not have a ton of embossing powder in my life. So let's do the same thing with the rest of this. I need my T. Okay, so T will become the first letter. Then we have an H. And I'll kind of cram it together as I did with the listing. And then E. Okay. Move my book aside for a moment here. I just like to make sure I'm really covered. And then just make sure you're centered as best you can. It doesn't have to be like perfect, but try to make it, as good as you can. You could obviously use like a disappearing kind of ink of some kind to like create a straight line if you wanted to. I'm not getting that wild about things. I'm not that much of a perfectionist. I'm a strategist. I'm not a perfectionist. I do plan for things, but I don't obsess when they aren't perfect. Okay. Should be good. And we'll fold another book page here. tap to get as much of that powder off. Okay. Now we need attic, and I have to do that in 2 parts, I think, because I've got 2. I only have 1 tea. So that's the struggle, but that's okay. Oh, that's not my ruler. Where's my wooden ruler? There it is. Okay. So we get rid of the H and E. Move that T over. Add our A. And again, move the book out of the way here. Typography is a funny thing though, lettering. I find it makes me, I don't know if this is because I have like a design background, it like literally makes me emotional at times. If I feel like I don't like typography on something, like, you know, I always joke about like Comic Sans. Like I recently had some feelings that I won't tell you too much more about than what I'm going to say, about somebody who's using AI entirely for something that they're selling, and the only thing that they had their hand in was the typography on the cover of the product that they're selling, and it was the worst like design ever. It was awful typography, and I could tell, like, I guess it just kind of, it pushed me a little bit over the frustration edge to see just in fact how much they weren't good even at design, like as an aspect of what they were selling and doing, because they're taking credit for art. They're basically selling the art that they're selling with their product as though they've drawn it themselves, painted it themselves, and they haven't. It's AI. And so that's my annoyed part about it. But also it was just kind of funny to me because in addition, I'm going to try to emboss this all at the same time. They, you know, just seem to be not very good at the real art. But that's okay. Okay, let's give that a try. See how lined up we are. Okay, yeah, we're good. So I gotta hurry because I hope I didn't leave this one too long. If I did though, it's okay. I've got a mark where it was, right? I could go back and do it again. That's the thing, is that, you know, with embossing, like, it's gonna leave a little stain there even if it dries up. So let's cover this and set that aside. Fold our book page again. I used to always make, when I was studying design, you know, okay, it's good. We talked a lot about typography because, you know, it's so important in web design. And we always used to make jokes about like Comic Sans, because so many companies, especially in like the 90s, some of the 80s too, would use Comic Sans as their text for their logos and things. So it's just like a funny kind of, you know, nostalgic thing that, like, you know, we can laugh at now, but I think for a lot of artists and designers, we kind of cringe whenever we see anything involving Comic Sans, because you're just like, oh god, no more Comic Sans. There's a lot of those fonts for me though. I really struggle when people send me emails in Times New Roman font, like at work, you know, like they've set it up, you know, to use Times New Roman, and it just, I don't know, like I get so uncomfortable with that font in emails. I don't know why, but it's weird how, you know, things like that can have like a strange effect on you. So I'm just cleaning up a little of the extra, you know, stuff that's hanging about. Nothing major, just little bits here and there. So as I dry this now with the embossing gun, you'll see what I mean. You're going to be like, Cindy, this is weird. But then let me charge it and I'll try to show it to you in the dark. So first I can blow away the excess bits, and that's good. And then I usually come at my embossing sort of with a bit of motion and from the side. And I stay on it until I see it starting to kind of do its little cookery thing it does, right? So see, it'll stay like a light white gray color. That's the color that it turns, but it glows brilliantly in the dark. And the only unfortunate thing with this embossing ink is you don't really, or the powder, sorry, you don't get that satisfying, like, you know, major change that you see when it goes from powder to that sort of cooked plasticky. You don't get that, but you do get glow in the dark, and who does not love glow in the dark? So let me charge this up in the light now that I've baked it on there, and we will take a look at what it looks like glowing in the dark. Okay friends, I'm in the dark. It's kind of hard to get total darkness down here, but you can see it, right? For me, it's glowing probably more than what I can pick up on the camera, but I really like it. So anyways, let me turn the lights back on and we can get to work. Okay, so here we go. This is what it looks like after it's been taken upstairs and put in the sunshine for a little bit. So now, that's the main thing that I wanted to do for the project, but I'll also show you how I'm going to create these pages for the book itself. So this one I'm going to use probably as like a front page or something, or I may cut it out down to the size of the book and then like just add it onto something like another page. So that I'll just set aside. But for these ones, you know, there's options, right? So when you have pages like this that are, they're split in half and you have an even really amount of, you know, text on both sides, I'm going to do this with them because again, I don't need to worry about what order they're in. So I have now the ability to do lots of stuff. So I'll create little folios like this, or there will be normal size like journal pages in this book, but these will also be journal pages, and some will go on the top, some will go on the bottom. They'll be in all of the folios in the book. The other options that you have with a project like this, and I got to get rid of that sticky ruler, is, you know, you can obviously create ephemera. You can cut these out and make them journal cards, but of course then you'll lose the back. You can use them as tuck spots. You could use them on like the bottom of the page as a pocket, but I'm going to use all of these, I think, as like folios for my book. If you were making a tall journal, this would be pretty perfect because, you know, they're good tall pages. I don't think, yeah, no, I wouldn't be able to use them like as a standard page because the text extends too far down to be able to like get, you know, one decent sized like page for the book. I would lose the text at the bottom. Where did I put my, there it is, my regular ruler. So then I'll just essentially go ahead and I'll look at the shadow through the light and make sure where I tear that I don't lose any of the text or the details from each of these. And then we're going to have a whole bunch of these little folios to use. In this fun journal, I think I will make it kind of like a darker themed, like not, I don't mean darker like scary, I mean like darker colors. I'll use gray or like gray papers, eco-printed papers, those kind of things, just to give it a lot of theme, like the concept will come together better. So yeah, I will just do this with all of these and then we'll have our own little journal kit. So why don't I fold these up, I'll get these all sort of torn out, and then maybe I'll show you a few of the pages that I plan to include in the listing attic. Okay, so here we are with papers. So I'll show you these. They've all been torn down to little bits, and then I've just selected some papers that I think would go nicely with the listing attic, the kind of theme of the story, the colors, sort of old wallpaper kind of things. I will grunge these pages up more, but they're beautiful. I've got a few different kinds of scrapbook paper. And then those are kind of the scrapbook papers that I will use. And then a bunch of my own hand-dyed papers, which I always have loads of in my Etsy shop if you're ever looking for interesting papers. These are some cabbage dyed. These are some of my lace dyed fractal kind of papers. Some of the more fractally and splattered. I have all different like patterns. Like see the fractals here, they're a lot of fun. And then these are my scrap pages that I cut down for things. The ones that are in my shop are like kind of more perfect condition. This is frosty windows. This is a piece of watercolor paper that was eco printed, some more cabbage dyed. And then another sort of off paper where I've got like one of this kind of design, but I like the colors for this book. They're kind of grungy, kind of cool. So that is my project for today, to just talk to you a little about lettering, typography. I sort of had another idea that I'll mention here in case you want to try it, and that's creating your own illuminated text. So if you do like to use lettering in anything, what you can do, you know, try your hand at doing some interesting lettering, and like create your own illuminated sort of text type lettering. And what do I mean by that? So if you saw my video on labels where I use that more Renaissance kind of book, like they're the fancy letter at the beginning of like an old book, right? Like you'll get like the C will be in a square and it'll be all fancy and there'll be flowers behind it or whatever. This in itself is kind of illuminated text, right? Because it's like they've done something interesting with each of the letters. So you can usually look at a book or at even some old handwriting. If like me, you collect old ledger, people were very flowery with their handwriting, more so than the now. So, you know, you can create your own kind of things where maybe you want to create it kind of large, you know, so you can create like a square or something to contain it in. And then, you know, think about a letter that you really like to draw that you find really fun. You can think of a nice way to draw it. So maybe I would choose, I don't know, we'll say H, because H can be a really fun letter to draw. And then you can come in, you know, and you can add more detail, color this in, you know, make it as chunky as you want. This is not the best pen for this, for sure. Something fatter would be better. Maybe I'll just go with this. We'll go with red instead. Yeah, so you come in with your kind of fancy lettering, then, you know, make certain parts of it a little bit more detailed, more accented. In the curves of letters is usually where things, you know, become more fancy, as well as at the ends. Just doing a quick example. Then what you can do behind it is how you're going to illuminate it. So, you know, go around your box as well. This is like a really quick bad example, but, you know, say you wanted to draw something like maybe flowers, you know, to come behind it. Use a different color, obviously. Or, you know, what else I was thinking is, if you think about things like this that are cut out, you know, you can follow the line. If you go like, you know, this, and just kind of like follow the line of this, and you can put like little sections of leaves or whatever behind. Just kind of, you can even use tracing paper to do this, to create like an actual stencil of your letter, and then lay it down on things to kind of draw like the cut lines of where you would cut your shape to make it fit in there. I think it's also a really nice use for like these kind of books that a lot of us have, where like you can come in and you can look at the different things that you've got going on. You can also draw the letter on top of paper and then glue it down on top of whatever you should choose. So, you know, say you were choosing this shoe, you could actually fussy cut that out, cut it in half, and put one piece on either side of the letter, and then just trim around, right? And that's how you create kind of your own illuminated text. So yeah, there's a lot of fun options for lettering. I recommend just play with your own handwriting, you know, like as you're writing, just kind of get a little flowery with like how you do your letters, you know, and like try to separate how you do your letters for your capitals, and then, you know, like your small letters. I actually enjoy small letters much more than I do like large letters. I don't know why. I somehow feel freer to just play with them more. But yeah, I recommend just play with your handwriting. I know a lot of people say, I don't like my handwriting, but you'd be surprised if you just sort of stop and study, even if you're just like writing something like how you normally would write. Like, you know, I normally might write my name like this, not particularly fancy in any way, but maybe I could think about it more and take a little more time and say, maybe this would look nicer, go a little slower, add a little loop-de-loop, make it a little more fun, you know, something like that. Yeah, I recommend just playing with your handwriting. So thank you so much for hanging out with me for this little make. Sorry that the glow in the dark is hard to show on camera. I don't have a good tech setup to kind of show that to you that well, but this does glow in the dark and it's a lot of fun. And I actually like it, even though it's not, you know, in its glow in the dark mode. I thought it was going to be a lot lighter because... So I was nervous to show it to you because I did this before the video, just on a piece of folder. And you see, it doesn't really stand up as much on this green folder as it does on the black. But I guess because it has elements of white in here, it really does stand up on the black. So I'm not as sort of stressed as I was about showing this to you. So thank you for hanging out with me, and I will see you again shortly for the next Junk Journal July. Bye for now.